for a moment of silence for Elijah Maldonado. We have suffered a lot of loss in this district in the last few years, and I also want to keep everyone experiencing loss at this time in our thoughts, and send strength and peace to their families.
Ms. Cruz? Present. Mrs. Dixon?
Present.
Ms. Fox?
Present.
Ms. Hume?
Present.
Mr. McAndrew?
Present.
Mr. Schuster?
Present.
Mrs. Yanni?
Present.
Ms. Gilmartin? Present. 8 present.
Communications to the board.
I have a few things. Executive sessions were held on Monday, November 25th, 2019, and December 16th, 2019, to discuss personnel negotiations, staffing, and litigation, and also this evening to discuss personnel and negotiations. And I just want to mention that if anyone in the public has any resolutions that say December 16th or anything that has anything to do with this meeting, it should be December 23rd, because if we didn't get a reprinted copy, I just wanted to make sure that was on the record. That
And all of those documents are the same. They're not any.
they're the same, it was just a date change. That's it.
I just have one question before we begin. We added the NEIU representative.
And the NEIU representative, D5. has been added.
Okay. So that
Thank
would be
you.
under education, D5.
Yes.
And I don't believe I have that resolution.
I have it right here, I just was passing it on to the, and that'll be under non-consent also.
Thank you. Solicitors report?
Yes, I do have a report for the board this evening on the potential conversion from a business mercantile tax to a payroll tax. The board had asked our firm to do a legal analysis of the ability to make this transfer. I will tell you that this conversion is fraught with all kinds of pitfalls. A deep analysis into the provisions of the school code. First of all, indicate that the school district cannot levy 2 different types of taxes in 1 year. That's the key foundation for all of the difficulties. I have also consulted with the Pennsylvania Department of Education, who has concurred with our analysis that we can't do that. That being said, the logistics of getting the tax imposed is nearly impossible to do, because the city must go to the court to have their ordinances struck down and have new ordinances adopted, allowing them to implement a payroll tax. If the judge orders the payroll tax to commence at the end of January of 2021, that means then that the city will be out of Act 47 distress status, which is a prerequisite for the school district being able to convert to a payroll business tax. On the other hand, if the judge orders it to happen at the beginning of the school year, then we have the problem where we have 2 taxes in the 1 year issue. So the only possible resolution that anyone has been able to come up with is to have a tax hiatus or holiday. And as we all know, that is certainly not anything that's conceivable under this scenario. So it is my recommendation as solicitor that we do not engage in the conversion, and we simply stick with the business mercantile tax at this time. I'm certainly happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you. Just so I'm sure I'm understanding this correctly, if we were to ignore your advice and go ahead here, there is the potential that we could make this conversion and the city could have that struck down.
That is correct. I mean, that's the third option that I actually didn't say. I mean, there's the concern that we could end up with a one-year tax holiday, which is certainly untenable. But in addition to that, should we go first and do this, which would have to be done now, then we don't know what the courts could do. In fact, the courts could not strike down the ordinances for that matter. We could be left out here alone. And then the tax that we implemented would be invalidated, and we would be in a lot of legal mess. It would just be, it's just, as I said, it's fraught with pitfalls.
So if we were to go first and they were struck down, our tax would be invalidated, we just wouldn't be left with the issue of two different
That's
taxes?
correct.
Oh.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we would only be able to levy one, and if we were to do that, it would be, say we would levy the payroll tax, and if that got struck down, it would strike it down for us, and we would be left with.
That's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Right, and you can't do a retroactive tax application. So we could be out money that we certainly don't have any, we don't have any money to be out.
And paying mind to the fact that the referendum on the ballot did pass with over 70% affirmative votes, I certainly think that was, I think it was a vote of confidence for us, which I certainly appreciate, but I also think it's indicative that perhaps a large swath of the community may have felt that this was a positive change. Just kind of being the devil's advocate here, certainly not something I am hoping will transpire, but if the city were not to exit Act 47, as the schedule indicates they will now, is this something that could be revisited if it still is part of the exit
Yes.
plan still? So it would,
So if the city should somehow not exit Act 47, that is always an option that's open to us, and absolutely. And I think that one of the main reasons we wrote the referendum as an optional referendum was because we all knew at that time that, frankly, you know, the I's were not dotted, the T's were not crossed, and we just needed to know. The law required us under Act 1 to absolutely have to do a referendum in order to levy this tax. We didn't want to preclude the community from possibly getting an advantage. So we ran the referendum in the off chance that this whole thing would work out and that we'd have the authority to do it. But as it turns out, as time has gone on, there's more and more pitfalls for the district.
So I just have one quick, just so in summary, your legal opinion as our solicitor is you do not recommend us to switch over the payroll prep tax or support it at the board level.
That's absolutely
Okay, that's all I
correct.
just want to get out there. Okay.
The end.
Thank you.
thank you. Anyone else have anything? Superintendent's report?
Good evening, everyone. I would just like to wish, very simply, I'd like to wish everybody a wonderful holiday and a happy new year. That is all I have.
Excuse me, I forgot to do the same. Wonderful holiday and Happy New Year.
Thank you, too.
In terms of a PSBA report, I will just mention that I think I can speak for everyone up here to say that we really enjoyed the training offered by PSBA, and most especially the dinner prepared for us by Chef Mark and his students, who do a remarkable job of preparing and serving and really made a lovely evening for us, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Mr. Carmody, may we at this time have an update on negotiations as we go into the budget?
Yes.
Thank you. The parties met several times in November, and we met most recently last Thursday, December 19th. Just to give you an update as to where we are at and what specifically the district is proposing. The district has proposed a 5-year contract. And to get more specific, in January of 2020, the district is proposing to 2-step movements for every single teacher, which is approximately 730 teachers in January of 2020. For any teachers that are already at the top step and wouldn't have any step movement, we're proposing a $500 bonus to those teachers. In September of 2020, next school year, we're proposing an additional step movement as well as a $500 bonus for teachers that are in the top step area as well. Additionally, in the 3rd year of the contract, which would be, well, excuse me, it would be the 5th year technically because we're 2.5 years behind. So in the 5th year, in September of 2021, the district is proposing a 4th step movement. So an additional step movement in September of 2021 with the contingency that the district realizes certain savings that are being enacted and attempting to be enacted pursuant to the recovery plan. Now, just to be clear, those step movements, those 3 and potentially 4 step movements over the next 2 years must come with certain concessions from the SFT Teachers Union. Specifically, the district is requesting that the SFT agree to a change in a healthcare plan that's currently being proposed by ELAP Services. Additionally, the district is asking that the payment for class coverage be eliminated. Additionally, the district is asking that secondary level teachers teach an extra period. And finally, the district is asking that all development courses be taught after school hours as opposed to during school hours. So with those 5 conditions, the district is proposing the step movements that I previously communicated. As directed by the recovery plan, we must find savings within the contract or through other reoccurring and sustaining savings. And as, in addition to the teachers, the district has also proposed a similar contract to the paraprofessionals with similar concessions for the paraprofessionals as well. Right now, the parties are expected to meet sometime in the 2nd half of January. We don't have a date yet, but I will advise the board as to when we get a new date.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions, Mr. Carmen? Thank you.
Mr. Carmody did add that that was part of the recovery, or like it was included in the recovery plan. And for us to go outside of that plan, it could put us in jeopardy of receivership, correct?
At this time, the board welcomes public comment. Each speaker will be allowed 3 minutes to speak. Union officials will be allowed 4 minutes. So, Ms. Boland, your 4 minutes, please.
I would like to echo Mrs. McTiernan and wish all of you a lovely holiday. We all deserve a break right now. I know I certainly am looking forward to it. And I wish that for all of you. I had no idea that I was going to negotiate tonight here in this room, and so I don't intend to do that. This was a little bit of a surprise tonight. We don't normally do that. I don't know who in the union wouldn't accept such a wonderful deal from the Scranton School Board, but we're going to meet and we will be negotiating in January. I do encourage each and every one of you and everybody in this town to get in touch with Harrisburg, Pennsylvania and start putting an awful lot of pressure on them, because we do need more money in the Scranton School District, and the $500,000 that we just got was nothing. We need sustainable money, not once in a while money that they throw at us. That's not what this district needs. That's not what any district, not one of the 500 need that. So we're going to have to put forth a concerted effort to advise Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, the PDE in particular, and the governor's office, that what we need is fair funding, and they better figure out what the word fair means, because it certainly hasn't been fair to this point in time. But again, we will meet in January, and we will be negotiating, and I underscore that word. Negotiations to me mean two people sit at a table as equals and come to a conclusion. We'll do that at a table. Thanks. Merry Christmas and a happy Hanukkah to everybody. Thank you.
Merry Christmas. Thank you.
I am sure I can speak for everyone here, Rosemary, to say that we are with you in your efforts to advocate for funding. I know that's a priority for everyone here. In the new year, we will certainly make a plan to unite and get our message out there. Thank you.
At the PSBA event, we were given information about a day in March at Harrisburg. I don't have the actual date here with me. And I know that our own fair funding pressure group here are looking to make an effort to convince Harrisburg that we need funding. And I'm going to suggest that we coordinate that so that our voices are amplified, because education is too important to be shortchanged by the state.
May I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes of November 6th, 2019?
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of November 6th, 2019.
Roll call?
Ms. Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Ms. Hume?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mrs. Yanni?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
Does anyone have anything they'd like to remove from the consent agenda?
May I ask to remove item B1?
May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
On the question? Roll call?
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Ms. Hume?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mrs. Yanni?
Yes.
Ms. Cruz?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
Mrs. Young, Budget and Finance, we begin with B1.
Okay. B8, right?
B1 because we pulled
We just pulled
from
it.
the consent agenda.
Okay.
We're going to try to make this as complicated as we can.
To the members of the Board of Directors of the School District of the City of Scranton, it is the recommendation of the Superintendent and the Budget and Finance Committee that the following resolution be considered. The list of bill payments in accordance with the bill payment approval policy be approved as per the attached. I move that orders be drawn up upon the Treasury as follows. December 23rd, 2019, $1,047,178.02, respectfully submitted.
Take a second.
I'll second.
On the question?
On the question, I'm just going to say that I'm going to be abstaining from this vote due to my employer being on the bills.
Roll call?
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Ms. Hume?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Abstain?
Mrs. Yanni?
Yes.
Ms. Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
7 affirmative, 1 abstention, motion passes.
You can go right ahead to B.
Okay.
Roll right through.
Okay. To the members of the Board of Directors of the School District of the City of Scranton, the Superintendent of Schools and the Budget and Finance Committee recommend the following. Whereas tax appeals have been received from the Board of Assessment Appeals for the following properties. Owner Martin L. Slot and Melissa A. Slot, property address 345 White Birch Drive, map number 13401-010-00453. New real estate assessment of $22,000, effective date of 1/1/20. Therefore, be it resolved, the Scranton School Board of Directors approves the new property assessments as negotiated between all the parties involved. Respectfully submitted.
Second.
On the question? Could we get an overview of this, an explanation of the reduction in fair market value?
Yeah, what's been happening is, as property values have decreased and been going down in the city of Scranton, the board has made a decision that if there's been a decrease in more than 15%, we will automatically take an appeal on the decrease. If it's less than 15%, it doesn't mean that we will just automatically accept it, but if after our review, we believe that it's more costly to challenge it than it would be to accept it, we would recommend the settlement of the number, and that's the case of this one and the next one that's upcoming on the agenda.
And this is an annual loss to the district of $213?
Yes, it's a minimal amount of money.
I don't mean to jump ahead here, but I see the next one we're going to review is an annual loss of $400 to the district, and these seem like there's a much bigger difference in the first one than there is in the second one, so why would the loss to the district be more?
I'll defer to Pat on this one.
Yeah, Dr. Gilmore, I'm looking through my emails now. It appears, are you referring to the new assessment value being different? One of them is the assessed value, the other one should read fair market value.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry, I apologize.
I see. No, I see that. And am I correct that every time we do these one at a time, we are losing this revenue for good?
That's correct.
Whereas if the county were to undertake a reassessment, it would be revenue neutral. Am I correct? Things would go up, things would go down, and we would come out pretty much the same. But every time we do these one at a time, this money's gone forever.
It is.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Roll call?
Ms. Hume?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mrs. Yanni?
Yes.
Ms. Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Ms. Goodmartin?
No.
7 affirmative, 1 negative, motion passes.
To the members of the Board of Directors of the School District of the City of Scranton, the Superintendent of Schools and the Budget and Finance Committee recommend the following. Whereas tax appeals have been received from the Board of Assessment Appeals for the following properties. Owner Anthony P. Emmy, property address 1015 West Linden Street, map number 145-140-90032, fair market value of $165,025, effective date of 1/1/20. Therefore, be it resolved, the Scranton School Board of Directors approves the new property assessments as negotiated between all the parties involved. Respectfully submitted.
Second.
On the question? Roll call?
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mrs. Yanni?
Yes.
Ms. Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Ms. Hume?
Yes.
Ms. Goodmartin?
No.
7 affirmative, 1 negative, motion passes.
To the members of the Board of Directors of the School District of the City of Scranton, the Budget and Finance Committee and the Superintendent of Schools present the following resolution for your consideration. Be it resolved that the single audit for calendar year ended December 31, 2018, as prepared by Michael A. Barbetti, CPA, LLC, be accepted as per the enclosure, and statements were previously sent to the members of the Scranton School Board. Respectfully submitted.
Second.
On the question? Roll call?
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mrs. Yanni?
Yes.
Ms. Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Ms. Hume?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Ms. Gilmartin?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
To the members of the Board of Directors of the Scranton School District, of the School District of the City of Scranton, the Budget and Finance Committee and the Superintendent of Schools present the following resolution for your consideration. Be it resolved that the financial statements for calendar year ended December 31, 2018, as prepared by Michael A. Barbetti, CPA, LLC, be accepted as per the enclosure, and statements were previously sent to members of the Scranton School Board. Respectfully submitted.
Second.
On the question?
On the question, I'm going to ask Mr. Laffey to review the 2018 financial statements for the board.
Good evening, and I apologize, I left my more thorough notes at the office, but I'm going to do my best to summarize the operation of the district's general fund for the calendar year budget 2018. As you are aware, the financial statements contain many funds, capital funds, food service funds, fiduciary funds, but we're going to focus on the results of the general fund. Prior to the completion of the 2018 budget back in December 2017, calendar year 17 ended with the district having a total assigned fund balance of $422,687 to the positive. That consisted of an unassigned negative fund balance in the $25 million range, offset by a restricted for debt service positive fund balance of a similar amount, netting us out to a positive of $422,687. For the budget year 2018, the board adopted a budget of $161,774,000 of expenditures, consisting of, and it was balanced, consisting of borrowings of roughly $6 million and the transfer from the healthcare trust account of $3.3 million. Those borrowings of $6 million, when the bond issue is offset, it's sent to pay the principal and interest on a specific bond issue that we've had to do the last couple budget years. So taking that into consideration, our expenditures came in at $153,638,440 on an adjusted expenditures of $154,529,838, or roughly $1,172,000 to the positive. Our revenues adjusted because we had to borrow, we had to utilize the healthcare trust of $3.3 million, were $1,153,638,440, or approximately $1,235,071 to the positive. When we're utilizing the healthcare trust account, you're utilizing the cash to offset your expenditures in the year. So by adopting a budget in 18, utilizing the healthcare trust, which was a restricted fund balance in the general fund, you've automatically opened your year with a $3.3 million deficit. In reviewing the summary of the expenditures and the revenues to the positive, we were approximately $2.4 million better than anticipated. Okay, so although we opened the year at $3.3 million in the hole by utilizing the healthcare trust, we operated at about $2.4 million better than anticipated. So our change in fund balance was a deficit of $891,398. Okay, that brings our total fund balances for the general fund to a negative $468,711, consisting of the unassigned fund balance, which is what we've got to work to bring down, with $22,705,416, offset by that restricted debt service positive number of $22,236,705. So we saw some positives in 2018. Our total expenditures had actually gone down from 2017 by roughly $1.1 million. Our budget to actual variances from one year to the next, our budget actual variances for general expenditures in 2018 was $2.2 million. So we've seen some positives. There's still a long way to go, but the fact that the overall fund balance had only decreased by $891,000, when right from the get-go we were short $3.3 million. We had a pretty good year, all things considered. And I should note that there are some one-time items that hit in there. Again, there was the borrowing that no district likes to do. We also had an increase in our Ready to Learn block grant money. That was a timing issue, so again, we don't want to forget that. And there was also a $500,000 unbudgeted hurricane impact aid grant that went to help that number as well.
Thank you.
Well,
Now, this is a resolution authorizing the incurring of tax and revenue anticipated.
We have to vote on the
Sorry.
budget.
Now you're on a roll.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Laffin? Roll call?
Mrs. Yanni?
Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Cruz?
I'm sorry.
Sorry, Jim.
Ms. Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Ms. Hume?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
Now I'm going to read the resolution authorizing the incurring of tax and revenue anticipation debt and the issuance of a tax and revenue anticipation note in the maximum principal amount of $14,500,000, accepting the offer of First National Bank and establishing the terms of the note. Whereas the school district of the city of Scranton, Lackawanna County, Pennsylvania, anticipates current revenues as yet uncollected, and whereas the school district requires additional funds for current and anticipated expenditures to fund anticipated deficits, and whereas the school district has determined that it is necessary to borrow for the purpose of meeting current and anticipated expenses for the fiscal year ending December 31, 2020, by issuing a note to be repaid from the receipt of anticipated taxes and revenues. And whereas the First National Bank of Pennsylvania has submitted to the school district a proposal to purchase the proposal tax and revenue anticipation note of 2020 of the school district dated December 19, 2019, and the school district desires, by the adoption of this resolution, to accept such proposal and authorize the issuance and sale of its tax and revenue anticipation note. Now therefore, be it resolved by the Board of School Directors of the School District of the City of Scranton, and it is hereby resolved by the authority of said board as follows. Number 1, the school district hereby authorizes the issuance of a tax and revenue tax anticipation note in the maximum principal amount of $14,500,000 in anticipation of the receipt of current taxes and revenues to be sold at private sale. The school district has determined it to be in the best financial interest to award the sale by private negotiation. Number 2, the tran shall be in the denomination of $14,500,000, shall be redeemable at any time at the option of the school district, without penalty or premium, shall be fully registered without coupons, shall be dated the earliest date possible under the law, bear interest at the fixed rate set forth in option 1 of the proposal, which interest shall be payable at maturity. Shall mature on December 31st, 2020, shall be payable at the Scranton office of the bank, and shall be substantially in the form annexed to this resolution as Exhibit A, hereby made part of this resolution as though fully set forth at this place. Number 3, the tran issued pursuant to this resolution shall be a general obligation of the school district. The school district hereby covenants with the owners from time to time of the tran that if funds are not available for the full payment of the tran within the fiscal year in which issued, then the school district will either 1, include the amounts necessary to pay the tran in its budget for the next fiscal year pursuant to Section 8125 of the Debt Act, to the extent then permitted by applicable law. Fund such amounts within the next, number 2, fund such amounts within the next fiscal year in accordance with sections 8129 and 8130 of the Debt Act. Or 3, provide for payment of the tran by any combination of 1 and 2 in all events upon notice to and with the consent and agreement of the bank. Number 4, the school district hereby covenants with the owners from time to time of the tran that it will make no use of the proceeds of the tran, which if such use had been reasonably expected on the date of issue of the tran, would have caused the tran to be an arbitrage bond within the meaning of Section 148 of the Code and the regulations thereunder, and that it will comply with the requirements of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 as amended, and the regulations throughout the term of the tran. Number 5, the proposal is hereby accepted and shall be incorporated into this resolution as Exhibit A hereto, and the President and the Secretary of the Board of School Directors are hereby authorized and directed to execute and deliver a duplicate original of the proposal to the bank. Number 6, the tran is designated as a qualified tax-exempt bond, as that term is defined in Section 265 of the Code as amended. No part of the proceeds of the tran shall at any time be used directly or indirectly to acquire securities or other obligations, the acquisition of which should cause the tran to be an arbitrage bond, as defined in this code. Number 7, The Tran shall be secured by a pledge of and a lien and charge on the taxes and all of the revenues of the school district to be received during the period when the Tran will be outstanding, including during any period of default. Number 8, the president of the Board of School Directors be and hereby is authorized and directed to execute and deliver in the name of, on behalf of, and under the seal of the school district, the Tran in the form and containing terms described above. And the secretary of the Board of the School Directors be and hereby is authorized and directed to attest the same. Number 9, the treasurer of the Board of School Directors be and hereby is authorized and directed to prepare or to cause to be prepared a certificate as to taxes and revenues to be collected and a certificate of cumulative deficit as required by Section 8126 of the Local Government Unit Debt Act of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania as amended. Number 10, the officers of the Board of School Directors be and hereby are authorized and directed to perform all acts which are necessary and proper for the valid issuance and security of the Tran, including the preparation and execution of a tax certificate. Resolved this 23rd day of December 2019, respectfully submitted.
Second.
On the question? Roll call?
Ms. Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Ms. Hume?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mrs. Yanni?
Yes.
Ms. Goodmartin?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
Okay, now we're going to read the resolution number 1 of 2020 to file of the solicitor for the 2020 budget. Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the School District of the City of Scranton hereby authorizes the expenditure of $166,141,815 upon adoption of the budget for the year 2020, copies of which are hereby available to the public. Be it further resolved, the district secretary shall file and advertise the budget in accordance with law. Respectfully submitted.
Second.
On the question?
On the question, I'm just going to ask Pat if he would review any updates to the budget since our December 16th budget hearing.
Yes, there's only been one change to the budget. The total expenditures presented on December 16th have remained unchanged. As you just passed the TAN resolution, the preliminary budget for the TAN interest was $600,000. The interest rate came in better than we preliminary budgeted to about a savings of about $100,000. That $100,000 reduction in TAN interest has been allocated back into the department and building budgets that were presented to be slightly cut at the December 16th meeting. So that's the only change.
So that money will go directly back into the classroom?
Correct.
Can you talk a little bit about what that looks like? I know Mrs. McTiernan, you and I had a conversation the other day about some sacrifices that would need to be made, and how does this $100,000 have a positive impact on that?
Yes, well, the money, as I explained, our educational resources, because of the budget, because of our financial situation, we haven't been able to get our students what they need. So this $100,000 will go back into the budget with the intention of, we were looking at our ELA resource in the middle school was cut, math resources we were looking at that were cut, so hopefully we can build some of those back into the building loan budget, so now that the money's back in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Roll call?
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Ms. Hume?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mrs. Yanni?
Yes.
Ms. Cruz?
Yes.
Ms. Goodmartin?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
This is resolution number 2 for 2020, resolution to file of the solicitor. It's real estate tax levy. Be it further resolved that the Board of Directors of the School District of the City of Scranton hereby levies 137.6201 mils per $1,000 of assessed valuation on real estate pursuant to authority of the Act of the General Assembly, March 10, 1949, PL 30, Article 6, Section 672, as amended. Respectfully submitted.
Second.
On the question?
On the question, when it comes to this, it's my gut feeling to vote no on this, but I'm not going to this year. But I do want to remind Mrs. Finan and the board that I do think the one part of the recovery plan that wasn't covered was the tax base in the city. And I would like to see that addressed if we start to see savings that they go back to our taxpayers in the city.
Roll call?
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Ms. Hume?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mrs. Yanni?
Yes.
Ms. Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
This is resolution number 3, 2020, resolution to file with the solicitor, Local Tax Enabling Act of 1965 511 taxes. Be it further and separately resolved that under authority of the Local Tax Enabling Act of 1965, Act 511, PL 1257 of the Act of the Assembly of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and in compliance with the school laws of Pennsylvania as amended, there is levied, claimed, and imposed taxes for the calendar year 2020. And that all Act 511 herein, that all Act 511 taxes hereinafter levied under the Local Tax Enabling Act of 1965 are intended to generate the maximum amounts of tax revenues allowed and permitted by law, and that where the City of Scranton and/or the school district of the City of Scranton have perfected claims to proportionate shares of any of the hereinafter recited Act 511 taxes, that these claims shall persist and remain in force and effect, and that where a maximum legal levy has been hereby made, that the same shall only be adjusted or reduced in accordance with law to that amount which shall represent the proportionate share of the school district of the City of Scranton. And the subjects and subject matter of taxes levied by the school district of the City of Scranton for the year 2020 are intended to be within the limits of the school district of the City of Scranton, coterminous with the City of Scranton, while the aggregate of taxes collected by similar levies, if any, by the City of Scranton are separate, distinct, and apart from the taxes levied hereunder by the school district of the City of Scranton, unless otherwise provided by law, and shall be collected by tax collectors herein named and appointed, or hereinafter named and appointed, for which purpose there is continued, levied, and imposed the following Act 511 taxes, separate resolutions for each of which follow. Okay. Levy 1, earned income tax. Levy 2, mercantile business privilege tax license. Levy 3, mercantile tax. Levy 4, business privilege tax. Levy 5, occupation privilege tax. And Levy 6, realty transfer tax. Wherefore, the above taxes are continued for 2020 and shall continue in full force and effect unless repealed or amended by law or action of successor school boards. Respectfully submitted.
Second.
On the question? I do have a question just regarding the recent decision handed down regarding the city's Act 511 taxes. I see here a line that says, while the aggregate of taxes collected, taxes collected by similar levies, if any, by the City of Scranton, are separate, distinct, and apart from the taxes levied hereunder by the school district of the City of Scranton. Is that referring to the fact that these are two separate things and one has nothing to do with the other?
That's correct.
To the best of our knowledge, we are taxing appropriately and within the confines of the law?
That would be correct, yes.
Thank you. Roll call?
Ms. Hume?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mrs. Yanni?
Yes.
Ms. Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
Okay, this is number 3 of 2020, continued resolution to file of solicitor. 511 tax levy 1, earned income tax. Continuing a levy of 1% being a tax imposed upon salaries, wages, commissions, earned income, and other compensation of residents of the school district of the City of Scranton, and upon net profits earned by such residents from all businesses, professions, and all other activities, salaries, wages, commissions relating to earned income. Respectfully submitted.
Second.
On the question? Roll call?
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mrs. Yanni?
Yes.
Ms. Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Ms. Hume?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
Okay, this resolution to file of the solicitor is number 3 of 2020, continued for 511 tax levy 2, mercantile business privilege tax license. Continuing a tax on all firms, persons, and entities engaged in occupations and businesses at the rate of $5 for the privilege of doing business, to be known as the school license tax. Respectfully submitted.
Second.
On the question? Roll call?
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mrs. Yanni?
Yes.
Ms. Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
Ms. Fox? Ms. Hume?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Ms. Gilmartin?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
Continuing with number 3 of 2020, the 511 tax levy 3 resolution to file of solicitor. It's 511 tax levy 3 mercantile tax, continuing and claiming a mercantile tax on persons, firms, and entities engaged in business as follows. Wholesale dealers or vendors at the rate of .000452 on each dollar of gross volume of business, on retail dealers or vendors at the rate of .000679 on each dollar of gross volume of business, based upon annual gross receipts for the year 2020 or by rules and regulations as applicable and/or for succeeding years thereafter, to be known as mercantile tax. Respectfully submitted.
Second.
On the question? Roll call?
Mrs. Yanni?
Yes.
Ms. Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
Ms. Fox? Yes. Ms. Hume?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Ms. Gilmartin?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
511 tax levy 4, the business privilege tax, continuing a tax upon the privilege of engaging in a business at the rate of .00513 per dollar of gross annual receipts, 5.13 per 1,000, to be known as business privilege, based upon annual receipts for the preceding year, i.e. 2020. Respectfully submitted.
Second.
On the question? Roll call?
Ms. Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
Ms. Fox? Ms. Hume?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mrs. Yanni?
Yes.
Ms. Gilmartin?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
511 tax levy 5, local services tax, continuing a tax of $5 on each individual engaging in an occupation as defined by statute, to be known as local services tax. Respectfully submitted.
Second.
On the question? Roll call?
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Ms. Hume?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mrs. Yanni?
Yes.
Ms. Cruz?
Yes.
Ms. Gilmartin?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
511 tax levy 6, realty transfer tax, continuing a tax on the transaction of the transfer of real property. Each person who accepts the delivery of any document or on whose behalf delivery of any document is accepted shall be subject to paying tax of 1/2 of 1% of the value of the property represented by each document, excepting those excluded by law, to be known as the realty transfer tax. The collection, which shall be through the Recorder of Deeds in and for Lackawanna County, Pennsylvania, for which purpose the said Recorder of Deeds is hereby deputized. Respectfully submitted.
Second.
On the question? Roll call?
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Ms. Hume?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mrs. Yanni?
Yes.
Ms. Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
Ms. Gilmartin?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
Okay, this is Scranton School Board Resolution to file of Solicitor number 4 for 2020, general conditions. In order to fully effectuate the tax levies, their implementation and collection, the district secretary and/or the district solicitor are hereby authorized and directed to act on behalf of the school district in all matters necessary in carrying out the intent hereof, including but not limited to legal advertisement of same where required. All of the said levies are made in order to fund the general accounts of the school district in the conduct of a thorough and efficient public school system in trust to the Board of Directors of the School District of the City of Scranton. Accordingly, all of the actions are collectively and individually intended to continue in effect all previous actions taken on like and similar matters, subject only to and any amendments herein. To effect the tenor hereof, all previous enactments of funds appropriated on matters herein set forth shall be so adjusted, conformed, and compounded, including but not limited to budget appropriations made to or on behalf of the Act 511 tax collector and the administrative and salaried staff as supervised by him, and the rules and regulations as published with the enactment or reenactment of Act 511 taxes, which action shall commence January 1, 2020. Respectfully submitted.
Second.
On the question? Roll call?
Ms. Hume?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mrs. Yanni?
Yes.
Ms. Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Ms. Gilmartin?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
Resolution number 5 for 2020 to file with the solicitor, appointment of real estate and/or 511 tax collector. Be it resolved that William Fox and/or his legal successor is recognized and/or appointed as a collector of taxes for the year 2020 or until withdrawn by action of the Board of Directors of the School District of the City of Scranton for levies as follows: 1, real estate taxes; 2, local service taxes; 3, business privilege tax; 4, mercantile tax; 5, school license tax. Be it further resolved that the Board of Directors of the School District of the City of Scranton shall require the posting of adequate bonds in conformity with law and/or based upon previous practice in these same premises, which shall be properly approved by court and/or the district solicitor and filed with the district secretary. Respectfully submitted.
Second.
On the question? Roll call?
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mrs. Yanni?
Yes.
Ms. Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Ms. Hume?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
Resolution to file of the solicitor number 6, 2020, appointment of 511 tax collector, earned income tax collector. Whereas the Scranton School District has levied, assessed, and provided for the collection of certain local taxes in compliance with and pursuant to the authority of Local Tax Enabling Act of 1965, Act 511, PL 1257 of the Active Assembly of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and in compliance with the school laws of Pennsylvania. And whereas the Scranton School District is a member of the Lackawanna County Tax Collection Committee, the TCC, pursuant to Act 32 of 2008, and whereas the TCC has hired Berkheimer Associates to collect earned income taxes as levied by the Scranton School District, including said earned income taxes that are or may become delinquent. And whereas pursuant to Act 192 of 2003-2004 General Assembly of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, the Scranton School District has the right to impose a cost of collection on earned income taxes that become delinquent or remain due and unpaid. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Scranton School District hereby authorizes the following. Number 1, the Scranton School District appoints Berkheimer Associates as its earned income tax collector for the initial tax year beginning January 1, 2020 and continuing through December 31, 2020. Number 2, the Scranton School District approves and adopts the cost of collection schedule attached hereto Exhibit A and made part of the resolution to be imposed by Berkheimer Associates and any taxpayer whose earned income tax becomes delinquent and/or remain due and unpaid. And number 3, Berkheimer Associates is authorized to retain said cost of collection set forth in the attached cost of collection schedule incurred in recovering delinquent taxes and assessed to the delinquent taxpayer as allowed by law. Number 4, this authorizing resolution is effective immediately upon approval. Respectfully submitted.
Second.
On the question? Roll call?
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mrs. Yanni?
Yes. Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Ms. Cruz? Yes. Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
Mrs. Fox?
Yes.
Ms. Hume?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
Number 7, 2020 resolution to file of the solicitor, designation of depositories for tax collections. Be it resolved that First National Bank, Clark Summit, Pennsylvania, be hereby designated depository in which the funds and monies in the custody of William Fox and Berkheimer Associates or their legal successors may be deposited. And whereas the Scranton School District acknowledges monies in the custody of William Fox, tax collector, will be deposited in Fidelity Deposit and Discount Bank until the time of disbursement to the Scranton School District, to be deposited with First National Bank, Clark Summit, Pennsylvania. Respectfully submitted.
Second.
On the question? Roll call?
Mrs. Yanni?
Yes.
Ms. Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Ms. Hume?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
Resolution to file in the solicitor number 8 for 2020. The subject is appointment of administrative hearing officer. Be it resolved that William Fox and/or his legal successor is recognized and/or appointed as the administrative hearing officer pursuant to Act 50 of 1998 at Section 84304 and shall continue to provide the taxpayer review or appeal process as was in offered on the effective date of this statute, Act 50 of 1998. Be it further resolved that any and all forms, rules, as well as practices or procedures previously utilized by the tax collector on the effective date of this statute be adopted. Respectfully submitted.
Second.
On the question? Roll call?
Ms. Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Ms. Hume?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mrs. Yanni?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
This is resolution number 9 for 2020 to file with the solicitor. The subject is taxpayer bill of right disclosure statement. Be it resolved that pursuant to Act 50 of 1998 at section 8423, the attached taxpayer bill of rights and disclosure statement be adopted. Respectfully submitted.
Second.
On the question? Roll call?
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Ms. Hume?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mrs. Yanni?
Yes.
Ms. Cruz?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
This is the Scranton School District Taxpayers Bill of Rights Disclosure Statement. Every taxpayer is obligated to pay all taxes levied by the school district to which the taxpayer is subject when taxes are not paid or a school district has questions about whether a taxpayer has fulfilled all tax obligations. Don't need to read this. Okay.
Very good job, Ms. Yanni.
Okay. Take a break. Now we have B14. Okay. And
Okay, members of the Board of School Directors of the City of Scranton. It is the recommendation of the superintendent and the Budget and Finance Committee that the following resolution be approved. Whereas, due to a vacancy on the Scranton School District's Financial Recovery Advisory Committee, a Scranton School Board member needs to be appointed to this vacant seat. And whereas, the Scranton School Board hereby appoints Roe Hume and will take over the vacant seat left by Mr. Greg Fogel. And whereas, Director Dixon wishes to resign from the advisory committee, and the Scranton School Board hereby appoints Katie Gilmartin to replace Director Dixon. Therefore, be it resolved, members of the advisory committee will include the following. The superintendent of the Scranton School District, Mrs. Melissa McTiernan, the school board member Roe Hume, school board member Katie Gilmartin, business manager Mr. Patrick Laffey, principal Mr. Al O'Donnell, SFT appointed teacher Ms. Rosemary Boland, NEIU appointed community member 1 Ms. Augustine Fahey, community member 2 Mr. Pedro Inez, superintendent of adjourning district Mr. Michael Mann, special education advocate Mrs. Roseanne Felicien, charter school representative Mr. Chuck Wallinger, and NEIU representative Mr. Kevin Williams. Respectfully submitted.
Second.
on the question? Roll call?
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Ms. Hume?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mrs. Yanni?
Yes.
Ms. Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
Jeffrey?
Members of the Board of School Directors of the City of Scranton, it is the recommendation of the Superintendent and the Community Relations Committee that the following resolution be approved. Whereas the Board recognizes that individuals, businesses, and community organizations may wish to contribute supplies and equipment to enhance or extend the programs in the schools, and whereas the Board has the authority to accept or refuse gifts and donations made to the school district or to any district school, and therefore be it resolved, the Scranton School Board hereby approves Moms Demand Action of Lackawanna County's donation of books to be used by John Adams Elementary students in the Scranton School District. Respectfully submitted.
Second.
On the question? Roll call?
Ms. Hume?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mrs. Yanni?
Yes.
Ms. Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
Members of the Board of School Directors of the City of Scranton, it is the recommendation of the Superintendent and the Community Relations Committee that the following resolution be approved. Whereas the Board recognizes that individuals, businesses, and community organizations may wish to contribute supplies and equipment to enhance or extend the programs in schools, and whereas the Board has the authority to accept or refuse gifts and donations made by the school district or to any district school, and therefore it be resolved, the Scranton School Board hereby approves Nicholas G. Stelmack Memorial Foundation's donation of hats and gloves to be used by George Bancroft Elementary students, and the donation of sports recess equipment and gift cards to be used by Charles Sumner Elementary students in the Scranton School District. Respectfully submitted.
Need a second?
Second.
On the question?
I'm blown away by the amount of community support that our schools get. I think they deserve it. I think that the people in our communities do stand up for and look after our schools and be applauded, and I think both of the groups making these donations deserve our thanks.
Thank you. Point well made. Roll call?
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mrs. Yanni?
Yes.
Ms. Cruz?
Yes.
Ms. Dixon?
Yes.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Ms. Hume?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
Mrs. Dixon?
I have two of them here, Director, President
I think-
Martin.
Yeah,
I think
it
the
should be-
second one needs a correction on it.
It
when I
should be
read it.
Barbara Dixon on that.
But it should be education
Yeah.
committee, correct? Okay. D4, I'm reading first. To the members of the Board of School Directors of the City of Scranton, it is the recommendation of the superintendent and the education committee that the following is approved. Be it resolved, Scranton School Board of Directors hereby designates Director Katie Martin as the Career Technology Center representative beginning December 2019 through December 2022, respectfully submitted.
Second.
On the question? I'd just like to say thank you. I can't tell you how much I enjoy working with everybody at CTC and learning about all of the exciting programs and seeing everything the students accomplish. So thank you for affording me this opportunity once again. Roll call?
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mrs. Yanni?
Yes.
Ms. Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Ms. Hume? Ms. Hume, I'm sorry. Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
Okay, now on this one, I'm going to make the adjustments. All right. To the members of the Board of School Directors of the City of Scranton, it is the recommendation of the superintendent and the education committee that the following resolution be approved. Be it resolved, the Scranton School Board of Directors hereby designates Director Tom Schuster as the representative to the NEIU number 19, effective immediately through December 31st, 2020, respectfully submitted.
Second.
On the question? Are we okay simply to make that correction, or do we need a friendly amendment?
I believe you can just make the correction.
Roll call?
Mrs. Yanni?
Yes.
Ms. Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Ms. Hume?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
To the members of the Board of School Directors of the City of Scranton, it is the recommendation of the Superintendent and the Operations Committee that the following resolution be approved. Whereas Sumner Elementary School will be sponsoring the following after-school programs 1 day per week by the following outside organizations: Yoga Yoga West LLC, TapFit Quest Studio, Tech Independent Instructor, Basketball Clinic Independent Instructor, Art Clinic Independent Instructor, and whereas the rental fee payment approved by the board will be required by these outside organizations, and whereas Sumner After School Programs is to provide, or are to provide, proof of a certificate of insurance for liability purposes, and whereas safety and conduct of its participants, spectators, and students is required, and now therefore be it resolved, Sumner After School Programs are allowed to use Sumner Elementary School for after-school programs during the 2019-2020 school year, respectfully submitted. I'm not sure if we need to make the grammar correction or if I just was being a purist. But
I'll second.
thank you. Can I just say that having spent time looking at and visiting the school during these after-school programs, they are providing invaluable expansion opportunities for children who normally would never get a chance to tap dance or do yoga. And that I understand anecdotally there are already flowing on benefits in behaviour and in the atmosphere within the school, particularly from the yoga and the mindfulness. And if anyone gets a chance to drop in, which Principal Duffy was very happy for people to do, it's quite mind-blowing to watch these people tap dancing and doing yoga, and perhaps Ms. Gilmartin, we should go.
Yes. You people know me well. Roll call?
Ms. Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Ms. Hume?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mrs. Yanni?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
To the members of the Board of School Directors of the City of Scranton, it is the recommendation of the Personnel Committee that the attached list of appointments, assignments, resignations, leaves of absences, and professional contracts are approved. Appointments are effective upon receipt of proper criminal records, immigration, and medical and child abuse reports. Salaries are in accordance with the collective bargaining agreement. Respectfully submitted.
Second. On the question? Roll call?
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Ms. Hume?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mrs. Yanni?
Yes.
Ms. Cruz?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
To members of the board of the school directors of the city of Scranton, it is the recommendation of the superintendent and the policy committee that the following resolution be approved. Whereas the following policies, 206, 331, and 626.1, second read has been revised by the Scranton School District Administration. Policy 206, assignment within district. Policy 331, job-related expenses. Policy 626.1, travel reimbursement, federal programs. Now therefore be it resolved, the Scranton School Board hereby approves as a second read revision of policy numbers 206, 331, and 626.1 recommended by the Scranton School District Administration, respectfully submitted. Second.
On the question? Roll call?
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Ms. Hume?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mrs. Yanni?
Yes.
Ms. Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
To the members of the Board of Directors of the School District of the City of Scranton, the Superintendent of Schools and the Special Education Committee present the following resolution for your consideration. Whereas the Scranton School District participates in the school-based Medicaid access program, and whereas the Recovery Plan Initiative R07 calls for the district to increase Medicaid access revenues to support special education programs, and whereas Public Consulting Group, PCG, has provided the district with a quote to provide school-based access program assisted services, and whereas the SBAP assisted services will provide support for the district's Medicaid administrative claiming, service documentation, retention, communication, and provider check, random moment time study, and cost settlement. Therefore be it resolved that the Scranton School Board of Directors accepts the proposal from Public Consulting Group in the amount of $22,950, respectively submitted.
Second.
On the question?
So on the question, this wasn't something that we had explained at the work session. Is there anybody that could give a rundown or review of it?
I can give you a little bit of a background. As you mentioned, in the Recovery Plan R07, the request is to look at whether or not we could obtain additional dollars from access funding. And we had a presentation from this particular company, PCG Consulting, is the leading firm that will come in and look at our process as well as our documents, as well as the students that we've identified, and they will help us identify if there are additional students. They'll look at our process to try to make it more effective, and hopefully with the number of students that we have a very high percentage of students who are special needs identified, and we have a very high poverty rate. Our access funding is very low. Therefore, it is an initiative in the plan. They're the leading firm in Pennsylvania. If anyone can help us, they can. And we are hoping there is funding for this in the special education budget, and we are hoping that we will be able to at least increase our costs on an annual basis.
So is this a one-time fee, and they're gonna assess what we're doing?
Yes.
Okay, and then it's gonna try to target or identify more funds?
Yes, and they're going to work, absolutely, and they're going to work with our particular clerk who works through this process. Right now, we probably don't have an efficient process, and they're going to help her develop a process that we can obtain more funding.
So in terms of cost benefit, right, we're gonna spend $22,000. Do we foresee that we're gonna take in more than that in excess funding?
We should be. A district of this particular size should be getting far more access funding. I don't want to give it an amount, but districts of our size are getting 5 to 6 times the amount that we are.
So it's just gonna be this one year,
Just
this one
one.
assessment, this one period of time, and it should get us on board to continue it independently?
Correct.
And what, is there an anticipated timeline?
That's a really good question. They're going to come in as soon as we accept this, and it will depend on how clear our records are. If they have to look for additional information, probably a couple months. I can report back as we go through this process.
So I was gonna say, in regards to timeline, will we know pretty quickly how much funding is available?
I don't know if quickly is a good term,
Yeah.
but I'm hoping along the same timeline as our special ed audit that I previously mentioned. I'm hoping around the end of March, beginning of April, we'll have some idea if we're are eligible and can apply for and will receive more access funding.
Thank you.
I think for the dollars, we should get our return on investment. It should be of benefit to us. Thank you.
And just one more question, I'm sorry, it slipped out of my head and then came back in miraculously. You did mention it will be dependent on the information that's available to them and how our records are. Do you feel as though this cost is set in stone, or
Yes.
could we, so we're
Yes.
not in a situation where they get in there and realize, oh,
No,
this is far
This is-
more than we thought, this
this is set
what
in
we're
stone.
signing up for?
Mhm. Okay.
Thank you. Roll call?
Ms. Hume?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mrs. Yanni?
Yes.
Ms. Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Ms. Goodmartin?
Yes.
7 affirmative, 1 negative, motion passes.
Okay,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear a negative.
I thought Ms. Yanni said no.
No, I said yes.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
All right, I apologize.
Yes, you said yes.
Okay, yes, I said yes. Okay.
Okay, I-1. Members of the Board of School Directors of the City of Scranton, it is a recommendation of the Superintendent and the Vendor Relations Committee that the following is approved. Whereas the Scranton School District is interested in potentially implementing a school bus safety program in order to reduce the incidence of possible injuries caused specifically to children by the violation of motor vehicles passing a school bus, stopped with its stop arm extended and lights flashing for the purpose of loading and unloading students. And whereas the Bus Patrol America, LLC, is a provider of the school bus stop arm enforcement technology and is interested in assisting the Scranton School District. And whereas the Scranton School District hereby authorizes the installation of the Bus Patrol America, LLC's equipment on a limited number of school buses within the school district in order to evaluate the Bus Patrol America, LLC's equipment, software, and services, as well as the propensity of motor vehicles illegally passing a school bus stopped with its stop arm extended and lights flashing while loading or unloading students. And therefore, be it resolved, the Scranton School Board approves the pilot program agreement between Naples Transportation and Bus Patrol America, LLC, respectively submitted.
On the question?
on the question, I know we discussed this before, but this is at no cost to the district.
No cost to the district.
And this agreement is between the bus contractor and bus patrol.
Correct. Where you're just reading the resolution and accepting because they'll be our kids.
Okay. Perhaps that answers my question then. In the 4th paragraph, whereas the Scranton School District hereby authorizes the installation of the Bus Patrol Americas LLC equipment on a number of school buses, that is because it is our students who are riding these buses. There's no concern that we are authorizing the installation of equipment on buses we don't own?
No, because it won't have our signature on it.
Okay.
It'll have DeNaples' signature and bus patrol.
This is only assessment that might be mandated down the road, correct?
Correct. Correct.
Thank you.
Now, is it something that may be mandated? There's talk of that.
Well,
Yes.
there's talk, there's conversations happening above our level.
Yeah.
This is purely for them to collect data.
Just add one thing to that. They're using this to collect data for the purpose of the legislators being able to request any fines that are assessed for anyone who's violating the stop arm and stopping behind a school bus, that those fines be used to provide safety equipment for buses to protect the students.
Have any past data analysis been put out to the public?
Actually, I don't have it in front of me, but it's surprisingly very high, the number of vehicles that violate they pass buses. In fact, the neighboring district, early last year, we had a car that passed a bus, and a parent was getting out to pick up a child, and the parent is now a paraplegic. I mean, it's just amazing. I had no idea the numbers were that high, and they are significantly higher. But I believe it's around the legislators from the Allentown area that are pushing forward. When we met with the bus drivers or their representatives, they indicated that for an urban area, we have a number of people who don't stop. They continue passing, so.
And high priority areas also.
Yeah.
There are certain very high priority areas.
Critical issue for safety.
Roll call?
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Ms. Yanni?
Yes.
Ms. Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Ms. Hume?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
Do we have any new business?
I have something under new business. Dear Jenny and the school board, please accept this letter as my notice of resignation from my position as Scranton School Board Director. My last day will be January 5th, 2019. It's been my great honor and pleasure to serve the students, parents, and stakeholders of our district over the past 6 years. I honestly believe I'm leaving the district better than I found it. We have the luxury of Dr. Finan with a solid recovery plan. We have Superintendent Missy McTiernan with, under her direction, a very strong administrative staff. We have great educators, paras, support staff, custodial with the common goal, the success, health, safety, and welfare of every student in the district. And I also have great faith in the new board makeup. I honestly believe you guys will do what's in the best interest of everyone in the city. My desire to serve continues. I'm choosing a different path. I have 3 beautiful daughters that have chosen to live in the city, work in the city, and have babies in the city, which I can't wait for. So, with that said, please accept my resignation tonight in the form of a vote. Thank you.
motion
Amend
to
it.
amend the agenda?
Yes.
Do we do an on the question here? May I say something? In this position, you work with some wonderful people. I can't thank you enough for the support that you've given me. And I truly mean that. So thank you, and I'm sad that you're leaving, and I mean that. But I'm happy that this is what you want. So I always want what's best for people. So thank you. I mean that, Mark. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
I appreciate your support, and I really mean that, whether it's a phone call or a text message or whatever it may be, but you've always been there to support me, and I'm only in this for a month and a half, whatever it feels like a lot longer, but a month and a half, and you've given me an opportunity. You're one of 9 that have given me an opportunity for a job of a lifetime. So thank you and good luck.
You're welcome. Thank you.
May I add something?
Yes, you can.
Mark, I have to tell you that I am really very, very sad that you are leaving this board, because I think you have been a person with strong ethics, morals, values, and you've led this district through your years in the very short time that I've been here with a very strong conviction to make education as strong and as solid as it can be for the students here at Scranton School District. I'm very impressed with your passion and your desire to make the city of Scranton a better place. And I am hopeful that your leadership on this board and your active participation has helped us maybe grow along with the city to be a better place for everyone here in Scranton. And I heard you talk about your daughters before, and you wanted to add and build a better community. I couldn't think of a better person to help do that. So thank you, and it's been my honor to get to know you on this board. And thank you for your support.
Thank you
Thank you, Mr. McAndrew. Me and you have served the longest together here on this
Trenches,
board,
man.
and I'm sad to see you go. I agree with everything that's been said here so far, and to add off of what Dr. Fine had said. I think the relationship between the school board and the city council and the city of Scranton is going to be stronger moving forward, so I look forward to that.
I got to say my piece a few weeks ago, so I'm just going to say I'm really going to miss you. And I know you're not going far, but it has been a pleasure. And I thank you so much for the way you embraced me and supported me and encouraged me and helped me learn in this role. And you're a good dad and a good big brother and all those wonderful things. So thank you so very much.
Mark, I'd like to wish you a lot of luck and success in your new venture.
Thank you. I still need a vote.
We still need the motion to amend the agenda, please.
I'm crying.
I will make a motion to amend the agenda and accept this resignation.
I'll second it.
Second, please, second. On the question to amend the agenda. Roll call?
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mrs. Yen?
Yes.
Ms. Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
Ms. Fox? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Ms. Hugh?
Reluctantly, yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Ms. Goodmartin?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
And now we need a motion to accept Mr. McAndrew's resignation.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
On the question? Roll call.
Mrs. Yanni?
Yes.
Ms. Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Ms. Hugh?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Ms. Goodmartin?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
I promise we won't end every meeting in tears. We'll do our I know, we will do our very best, but I am delighted to sit beside you all and work with this group of
committed and dedicated and devoted people who respect and appreciate each other's commitment. And it is, we have a lot of work to do, and I think we all need to go home and get some rest over this holiday and enjoy our friends and families and hit the ground running in January. And I echo what Mr. Schuster said. I think we have a tremendous opportunity here to really become true partners with our city at every level. I know we have friends in City Hall to this district, and that would be a tremendous asset to our work. And I have nothing more to add in terms of a report, but just to say thank you. And it has been a pleasure, it will be a pleasure, and I'm glad to have you all along for this ride.
May I just add something? Without the benefit of going through motions and amendments, may I just suggest that the board affirm a message of congratulations to our former member and our future mayor, Ms. Cognetti, on the birth of her daughter Sloane last Friday.
Yes.
Let's face it, we're going to have she's got a vested interest now in getting these schools absolutely perfect. I think it's wonderful for her, and I think that if we could send her a message of affirmation and congratulations, Mrs. Board.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned. Now, get my papers in order. One moment, please. We'll call to order the special meeting for the board vacancy. We do have a pledge down here. Shall we pledge again, or are we okay?
I think we're okay.
We're okay.
You promise.
Roll call.
Ms. Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Present.
Ms. Fox? Ms. Hume?
Present.
Mr. McAnder?
Present.
Mr. Schuster?
Present.
Mrs. Gianni?
Present.
Ms. Goodmartin?
Present.
Eight present.
We have purpose of meeting here. I don't have a statement about that. The purpose of this meeting.
I think it should probably just be just an announcement of the reason, and it was duly advertised.
Okay. So it is, the purpose of this meeting, which was duly advertised, is to appoint a candidate to our board vacancy. Okay.
And we didn't have any public speakers. We just have Mr. Whalen here.
So, Mr. Whalen, you may approach the microphone, sir. And we don't have to sequester any of the other candidates, so you have 2 minutes to make an opening statement, and then we'll have questions.
I don't know that that's on. It might have been turned on.
Oh, the batteries?
No. Paul, see if I got it. Battery.
Do we have something else? No, you're okay. You're bringing another one
We're
down?
gonna bring one down.
It's Carol, though.
I think that would get everybody. Like Ellen.
Take it away.
From Scranton, I'm a taxpayer, but most importantly, I'm the father of 5 kids in the Scranton School District. And the decisions made here by this board have a tremendous impact on them. And now, and for the next 13 years, the basic function of the district is to equip the students with the skills they need to be successful, productive members of society. We need to use any and every resource available. It's important to work towards a balanced, maintainable budget and hold the board accountable to the goals of the recovery plan. I think the district is really struck gold with the Chief Recovery Officer, Dr. Finan, and I was happy to see the results of the latest election. Leaves us with a fresh group, capable, diverse directors. I think I'd be an asset to the district, and I'm confident in my ability to work in conjunction with every one of you. And I'm prepared to dedicate the time it takes to get it all done. All that said, that's like your consideration.
We do have some questions. Mr. Schuster, would you like to begin?
All right, so how do you think the school district can improve students' academic achievement and the staff's professional development?
What's the second part?
The staff's professional development.
The staff's professional development?
Yes.
More time in the classroom, the better, I'd say, as far as that goes. I know you encourage the teachers, they have incentives to further their education. They don't really have something prepared, but there's always means to an end.
All right, thank you.
I'll stifle that one.
Okay, I'll go next. Okay, Mr. Whalen, what are the biggest challenges facing public education today?
Well, I know in our district, over 70% of the kids come from what you refer to as, how to put it, disadvantaged, maybe. And I know there's, 17% special education. I know it draws a lot of funds away from the regular, if you will, education. But
Thank you.
it's tough here.
Okay.
So, Mr. Whalen, you've heard us talk up here in prior board meetings about the challenges that are facing this district. So, any thoughts on our biggest challenges here in the Scranton School District, and any thoughts on what we can do to work on those?
I know 3/4 of the budget's geared towards salaries and benefits. So looks like the biggest place to go for savings in the budget. And nobody wants to, I'd like to see the budget maintained every year.
Mr. Wynn, good evening. It's very brave of you to put your name forward. I feel rather awful with you down there and us up here. I hope you're comfortable. The recent election in November put on this board a slate of candidates who campaigned very strongly on a platform of transparency. And the election of this board marked, the new members of the board marked a breach with business as usual in this town. You were, and I think still are, Secretary of the Sewer Authority. And that's currently under investigation by the State Auditor General, Mr. De Pasquale. You initially voted against his investigation. I know subsequently last month you did vote for that. But I've got two parts to my question. Do you feel your vote against opening the activities of the Sewer Authority to Mr. De Pasquale to investigate is a good reflection on the commitment to transparency that this board is really strongly about? And secondly, are you at all concerned that if, by the worst circumstance, the Auditor General's report should be negative, one, and reflect badly on the conduct of members of the authority and the authority itself, are you at all concerned that this might taint your activities on the board, or perhaps even taint the board itself?
The school board.
Yeah,
Taint the
well,
school
the way
board.
you appointed to the board, and
Right.
then a negative report came down, there may well be a concern. You know, are you at all concerned that that might taint your activities?
If De Pasquale comes back with negative report on the sewer authority,
Mhm.
if it would taint school board.
No, not that your activities and your participation in a board that is really committed to transparency and a break with the past.
Okay, that was a two-part question. So
Yeah, it was a
first part,
two-parter, I'm sorry.
I guess you're asking me to defend that vote in the negative?
Pardon?
You're asking me to defend the vote where I voted against it?
I'm just concerned, my concern is that...
So to explain, okay, well, Attorney Dempsey, in executive session, announced he was going to make the motion. And I am for transparency, absolutely. I'm not a politician. I think I'm all for it, every sort of transparency. But as far as that goes, he approached us during executive session, and I knew it was out there beforehand, the possibility, but there was no, how to put it, there was no plan. There was no. You ask what comes of it, and what's the next step? Oh, it's just an open invitation to audit the board, and that's okay. But there was no real comprehension about how it would affect. We had one employee who was busy doing. Believe it or not, at that time it was very busy, but. The implications for the authority, that's what we're on the board for, is to look out for the authority's interests. And we had an impending audit due, and that was comprehensive of the entire sale transaction. So that was to come in soon. And by the same token, now, it was that motion could have been made anytime between that night and a month ago. So it was open-ended. It's not like it was a condemnation of the motion. It was just, at that time, it was not exactly necessary. But it was made. They talking in a circle there? Did you get anything out of it? Does it please you at all?
No, I
mean,
appreciate,
we're
I appreciate
clear,
your
I know that.
Okay, Rob? Yep.
Do you want to try and answer the second part? Because
That's fine.
I don't think
appreciate
a
your
vote I made on a Sewer Authority. Let's skip that.
I'm just concerned for you, if there is a negative report, how you would feel that that affected yourself going forward.
Well, I'm for transparency.
Thank you. Appreciate your frankness.
I just have,
So what do you believe would be your biggest challenges as a board member
Our biggest challenge?
on the Scranton School Board?
Public speaking.
Any other, or is that your
The troubles?
challenges?
Challenge?
Mhm.
No, I look forward to challenges. Really am.
You'd like to?
Good evening, Mr. Whalen.
No.
So you said you have 5 children, and all 5 children are current students in the
Oh, yeah,
district?
kindergarten to 8th grade.
Okay. And so being a parent who has a child in the district, what do you believe are the strengths of our district? Why did you choose to send your children to the Scranton District rather than sending them to private school or any other alternative?
We're lucky to be over by Ryber Morrison. The teachers really foster like a family atmosphere. We didn't know too much about Northeast when they went over there, but that's nice. I know it's a little crowded, but I really don't have any complaints about the level of the quality education again. So we're happy over there. Well, there.
Thank you for answering the
Yes.
question.
did anybody ask about the responsibility? I was going to, but if you go right ahead.
I would just like to know what you feel, or you see yourself, what your responsibilities would be as a school board member.
Oh, really, just to stick to my morals, and the rest would kind of fall into place. It's the way I live my life. What's right is right.
Then I will ask, if you were faced with a tough issue as a board member, such as raising taxes or cutting programs, what kind of data would you need to help make your decision?
Oh, math. Everything's based on math. It's real simple.
Everything's based on math, did you say?
Yeah, kind of. Numbers.
Do we have to ask them to do
No.
it? Oh, no.
We just can select from this list. And I will entertain a motion to appoint Mr. Whalen.
I'll make the motion to appoint Mr. Whalen. I'll make the motion to appoint Mr. Whalen.
One second.
On the question?
I think I'd just like to say on the question, Mr. Whalen, I very much respect you for getting up here and doing this. I did the same thing in your position. I stood there. I spoke to a board to try to get on, but I was not successful. So in not being successful, I turned around and ran for the position. And in doing that, I learned a tremendous amount about what I didn't know, what that goes on this board, and what I needed to know to serve on this board. So I just think that if you're not successful tonight, to keep that in mind and think about maybe running, because it really is a great way to learn everything that's involved and learn all the things we talked about up here, the challenges and the issues facing the district and what's involved in a board member's responsibilities.
And also, like I said, I would say that everyone just about here has done that same thing.
Thank you for coming forward. I agree with Mrs. Yanni, you're to be commended for doing that. And I also apologize for our sort of abbreviated process here this evening. It usually, there's a little more pomp and circumstance with it all, not just one person in front of the microphone. So thank you for bearing with us. So, do we have
Your bravery is absolutely beyond question.
Anything else? Roll call?
Ms. Cruz?
No.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
Ms. Fox?
No.
Ms. Hume?
No.
Mr. McAndrew?
No.
Mr. Schuster?
No.
Mrs. Yanni?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
No.
6 negative, 2 affirmative, motion fails.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We wish you the best. With that, Mrs. Orr, may we ask you to advertise again? I'm correct that we have the time to follow our policy as indicated?
Yes, we do.
So we can begin to advertise tomorrow?
Yes, I would suggest advertising as quickly as possible.
Is it possible to get something up on the website this evening?
Yes,
Okay.
I just need to get in touch with Mr. Noon, but what will be the ending date that we will accept the,
The 31st?
Would we vote on we could have a meeting on the 2nd, correct?
Correct.
So could we accept applications until noon on that day?
Yes, you could.
Okay, I think that would be ideal.
okay,
Johnny, too.
Two,
2 spots.
okay.
Well, there are 2 spots that
Yes.
will be open if you want to advertise for both. I don't
But
know.
Mr. McAndrew did not.
Oh, no,
make
that's
a
right. He's not,
decision until the
his
5th.
resignation to effect
Right.
until January 5th.
Right, so,
I won't be here.
okay, thank you. So we will accept applications until noon on January 2nd. And we will schedule a meeting at a time and location to be determined that evening.
Okay. Okay, so it's we're keeping 1 vacancy.
Yes.
And then we'll do Mr. McAndrew's after the 5th, right?
Yes. So we will begin to advertise that, I suppose, on the 6th.
I can, yeah, I won't be able to get it in the newspaper until, what is today? Tomorrow will be Tuesday till Wednesday.
Okay.
So, but we can get it on the
We can get
website.
it up on the website.
Yeah.
Wonderful, thank you. Anything else for the good of the order? May I have a motion to adjourn? Yes?
Merry
Yes, ma'am.
Christmas, Happy New Year's, Happy Holidays. That's what I'd like to say.
Yes.
Everyone. To everyone.
Wonderful holiday. May I have a motion to adjourn? Second? Second. All in favor? Aye.